to hold it.
Welcome to the 2019 Law Enforcement Torch Run for Special Olympics. We would like to begin today's celebration with the National Anthem sung by Lincoln Police Officer Aaron Spilker.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Aaron. In 1981, Chief Richard Lemunion of Wichita, Kansas Police Department was looking for a way for his police officers to become involved in their community. The police department had been involved with Special Olympics through awarding medals to athletes since the 1970s, but in 1981, 5 of his police officers approached him with a new idea of carrying a torch into the opening ceremonies of the Kansas State Games. The first torch run consisted of 5 officers running 5 miles and delivering the torch to the Kansas State Games. Known as Guardians of the Flame, law enforcement members and Special Olympics athletes carry the flame of hope into opening ceremonies of local competitions, Special Olympics, state, national, regional, and world games. There are over 97,000 law enforcement members that carry the flame of hope annually in all 50 states and 40 other countries. The flame symbolizes courage and celebration of diversity, uniting communities around the globe. Since its inception, LETR has raised over $600 million for Special Olympics programs and is the largest grassroots awareness and fundraising group for Special Olympics. Page 2. I would like to recognize today the law enforcement agencies participating in the run: the Lincoln Police Department, the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, Lancaster County Corrections, UNLPD, and the 155th Security Forces Squadron. I would also like to thank all the volunteers from local law enforcement agencies that made today's celebration possible. A special thanks to the Knights of Columbus, St. James Council 14320 for their monetary donation, Lincoln Pepsi Company for the water, and a big thanks to Westgate Bank for the food donation. I would also like to recognize Shar Estes. Where are you, Shar? She's down there, working as usual. Shar has organized the torch run for the last, I don't know, probably 10 years at least. She does a fabulous job every year, and want to give a special thanks to her for all of her hard work in organizing and getting volunteers to make this day possible. Our first speaker today from the Lincoln Police Department is Chief Jeff Bliemeister.
Well, thanks, Jerry, and thanks for everybody who came out here today to celebrate this with us. Jerry touched on this just a little bit. There's a continuing emphasis throughout law enforcement to engage in the community, to build trust and advance a tragedy, and the torch run has been doing that for so many years. So this relationship continues to be so beneficial to every single person involved. I know many of you not only participate in this particular event, but you are also the organizers, the fundraisers that has made over $350,000 in the 2018 campaign that helped support the path for 6,000 athletes. Before this, I had a little bit of an opportunity to visit with Gail. And Gail is retired, and she has participated for a long time in the Special Olympics. She shared with me that she has bowled a 259. Wow. So for those of us that have been out bowling know how difficult that is. But again, Gail, you should be proud of that. We're proud of you for participating in all these years. And I just want to touch on that this is one event that contributes to the overall funding. We have the torch run, we have the polar plunge, the truck convoys, the cop on the top, where Duncan Donuts has sponsored that, Tip a Cop at Red Robin, and Casey's General Store, and their promotion that's coming up here in June. So thanks to everyone, and I'm going to turn it over to Chief Deputy Todd Duncan with the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office.
All right, thank you, Chief. Good afternoon. On behalf of the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office, I want to thank everyone for helping us continue this fantastic tradition of supporting Special Olympics Nebraska. Standing before us are talented athletes and public servants who exemplify courage and serve as role models in our community. Unlike most people, these Special Olympics athletes have chosen to take the difficult path of pushing themselves to the limit and competing in elite-level sporting events. Similarly, the law enforcement torch runners in front of you today have chosen the difficult and dangerous path of risking their lives every day to serve their community. It's an honor to recognize and celebrate these community heroes today. To the athletes, good luck at this year's Summer Games, and may you bring home the gold. To the law enforcement torch runners, and especially Char Estes, thank you for keeping the flame of hope alive in Nebraska in 2019. Thank you, and I'll be turning it over now to Special Olympics board member Brian Schweiger.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. First and foremost, thank you to all the officers, all the volunteers, the Special Olympics Committee, and their efforts behind all of this. Without all of you, obviously none of us are standing here and this doesn't happen. It's extremely, extremely important. Lincoln is one of 15 torch runs that's happening across the state in the next week and a half. And the power behind that, you can't really measure it, to the impact that you all have on over 7,500 people with and without intellectual disabilities through programming with sports, health, education, and leadership. You can't price tag that. And again, many, many thanks to all of you here. The law enforcement torch run has been in partnership with Nebraska since 1985, so 34 years. Again, the impact, not just today, but through 34 years, is extremely, extremely powerful. Lincoln is also home to 2 state competitions for the Special Olympics of Nebraska, the Spring Games, which come up here in August, which will be here before we know it, and the Fall Games, which just happened about a month and a half ago in March. So again, on behalf of the Special Olympics of Nebraska, many, many thanks and continued success as we move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you to all our speakers. Next, I would like to introduce Gail Tudor. She's been an inspiration and a good friend of mine for many years. The chief touched on the fact that she did bowling when she was involved in Special Olympics. She was also involved in track and field. So she's been doing this for a very long time. I would like to have her join me in leading you in the Special Olympics oath. We'll say a line and then you can repeat it, okay? Are we ready? Let me win. But if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. Thank you, Gail. In closing, I would like to share a quote with you from retired Chief Richard Lemunion, our founder. And I quote, "What started in 1981 as a flicker of hope for Special Olympics has now become a roaring flame of stability for Special Olympics athletes worldwide," end quote. LETR is changing the future for people with intellectual disabilities. Through the LETR and Special Olympics partnership, we are lighting the way for acceptance and inclusion. I would like to thank you all for being a part of this great partnership today and for your participation in the 2019 Torch Run. Once again, thanks to the Westgate Bank for providing lunch today. Make sure you all come over and help yourselves to lunch. And thanks once again to Shar for organizing another great torch run here in Lincoln. Thank you.